Welcome back to another fantastic video. This video is going to focus on how the Enlightenment influenced American government. So I want you to think for a second. When you hear Enlightenment, what comes to mind? Maybe turning on a light, maybe a rebirth of something, maybe a change from something that's dark to something that's bright and positive. Keep all that in mind as we go through this. So the Enlightenment itself is an 18th century movement that emphasized rational and scientific thought. So during this time, we see a shift in how people, specifically in Europe, viewed their relationship with their government, okay? And as you've learned in your study of American history, things that start over in Europe eventually kind of filter their way over to the American colonies. So some ideas that came about during this time were questioning things like the divine right, okay? So if you're the king or the queen, then what gives you the right to be king or queen of me? Why are you controlling me? Are you supposed to do anything for me as you're in charge of me? What is that relationship supposed to be? So some important individuals start writing during this time, start really sharing their ideas on what the relationship between the people and their government should be. And of course, we know all about John Locke. John Locke was an Enlightenment philosopher who gave us a lot of writing about the nature of government and people. And he also believed in this concept of natural rights, that everyone's born with life, liberty, and property, and it is the foundational purpose of government to protect those natural rights. And he also believed, of course, that if the government wasn't protecting the rights of the people, then the people had the responsibility to make a government that would respect those rights, okay? Next guy we've not talked about yet, this is Baron de Montesquieu. Now, as you can probably guess by his name, he is a French Enlightenment philosopher, and his big idea is that we should have separation of powers within any government, because if you invest or if you give a whole bunch of governing power to one person or one small group of people, and there's nobody there to kind of balance out their power, then you're probably going to have a corrupt government, okay? Or at least it's highly likely that that will happen. So Baron de Montesquieu believed that it was a really good idea to separate powers of government into multiple branches, give different responsibilities to each of those branches so that no one person gets too much power, okay? And the last guy we want to look at here, this is Voltaire. Voltaire was not his real name. That was his pen name. That's what he went by. But Voltaire gave us this concept of freedom of speech and also freedom of religion. So he thinks that it doesn't matter what you're saying. It doesn't matter if you agree with me or if I disagree with you or whatever. He believes that you still have the right to express your opinions. You have the right to speak. You have the right to practice your own religion, as long as what you're doing doesn't infringe on someone else's right to life, liberty, or property, right? So Voltaire famously said, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. So I may not agree with you. We may not agree on anything at all, but you have the right to say it, okay? So I'm going to stop there for today. If you have any questions, let me know.